Let's get started. Hello and happy Friday of GDC. I have to say, I'm so glad that this talk is on a Friday because after a wild week, I think we all need to decompress a little bit. So I think the timing was great, and thank you all for being here because it's still kind of early and the GDC parties go all night, so I'm honored that you're even here. Thank you so much for coming. I've been asked to remind you to make sure you fill out your surveys and turn your phones off. So, this is Meditation for Devs, Maintaining Your Sanity for Crunch and Beyond. So, let's get started. I'm Amanda Gardner, and that really encapsulates my insane life. I am a yoga and meditation teacher. I'm a mindfulness speaker. I travel around the country talking about mindfulness. I also am the co-founder of the Deep End Games, where I wrote Perception, which came out last year. It is a first-person thriller about a blind woman exploring a haunted mansion using echolocation the way a bat sees, and it's out on PS4 and Xbox One, Steam, and it just came out on Switch this fall. I'm also a mom of 4. I have 2 babies and 2 bigger kids. And so my life, I really need the meditation and the mindfulness. But a couple of years ago, my life was completely different. I was an English teacher in my hometown for about over 10 years. I only had 2 kids. That's our Smash Brothers Halloween. We thought we were pretty cool. I still think we're pretty cool. And I spent some time as a stay-at-home mom, and my husband was a really cool AAA veteran. That was my only link to the industry. My husband was the lead designer on BioShock and the design director on BioShock Infinite, Bill Gardner. Some of you know him. So how did I get here? Things got really interesting when Irrational closed. Bill decided that we were going to make a game from our basement, and I said, okay. So a year ago today, we had 1 game in Crunch, a toddler, a newborn, and we both got mono. Like, we're adults. Like, how do adults even get mono? We got mono. And it's because we were so run down, our bodies were just like just a garbage fire. It was pretty brutal. And we just shut down. Like, our brains weren't working right. We couldn't take care of ourselves. We couldn't take care of our kids. And our game was in Crunch. And it was us in our basement. And so I sort of learned to resuscitate us. And that's what this is about. If I can impart any of what I learned to you, then it'll be worth it for me. So I really want to teach you to be present and relaxed. And in Crunch and beyond in life, these are sort of the 2 things that can really make or break development. So when you're present at work, you make less mistakes, less iteration. You're not multitasking, you're unitasking, and you are in the now. We actually spend 80% of our headspace in the past and in the future. If you checked in with your brain, say every hour or so, 80% of the time, you'd be dwelling on something that already happened and thinking about rewriting it, or you would be perseverating on something that's going to happen, or probably never going to happen when you really think about it. Only 20% of the time are we really here, where we are right now. And so with these tactics, I'd love to teach you to expand your 20%. Hey, even if you can get it to 30%, it's an improvement, right? And be relaxed. Bill and I really shut down. Our bodies shut down because we were constantly crunching on something, whether it was the babies and not sleeping, or eating poorly because we couldn't even take care of ourselves. When you get your body to cooperate, it's much easier to be relaxed and be intentional with what you do. So a lot of my slides have J.P. Sears memes, and I know that he makes fun of mindfulness and meditation, but he's so funny, and I feel like it brings some levity to the presentation. And if you've never seen his spiritual AF videos, they're so funny. So the easiest way to become present is to notice your own body. What's really funny is that we spend all day up in our heads, and we don't notice our bodies until they hurt. Think about it. You have ankles. You have probably not even thought about your ankles unless they're bothering you. So if you can the first thing that mindfulness experts say can get you into the present moment like this is to just notice your own body. So put your feet on the floor, and this is what's great about all these tips is these are sort of designed for you to be able to do at your desk or at work without people. I'm not having you sit on your desk in lotus position and, floating, I'll meditate and destroy you. No, it's going to be much more accessible. So put your feet on the floor, feel your toes, feel your feet, and start to scan upward. Notice your legs. Notice your butt in your seat and the back in your chair. Notice if you're holding tension anywhere. Like for me, I hold tension like in my chest and behind my shoulders. And scan all the way up. Do you have any discomfort? Do you need a drink? Do you have a headache? And just notice your body. And the next thing to do, if you find yourself holding a lot of pressure, is to take a breath and imagine your breath being directed into that spot where you're holding tension. So for me, it's right here, and I imagine taking that breath and just sort of making some room around the tension. And you can sort of imagine that tension loosening up and getting a little bit more open. And that's kind of like the intro level, easiest sort of meditation mindfulness trick. The next one does also have to do with breath, and it's funny, we most of the time breathe wrong. And I know that sounds a little bit ridiculous, but we breathe in a very shallow manner. And a lot of times when you see people take a deep breath, they go and suck in, and that's actually the opposite of what you should be doing, because imagine your lungs are like balloons and they inflate and your diaphragm goes down. So when you inhale, really inhale, you want to imagine bringing the breath out and down and really breathing deep. And then when you exhale, you should feel it contract and suck in. So another thing that mindfulness experts say, other than being in your body, is being in your breath, noticing your breath. You don't have to even change your breath to be mindful. Just notice that it's there. Bring your attention to it. Suddenly you're grounded in your body and you're in the present moment. But what's really awesome about breath work is that it can change your energy. It can bring your energy up and it can bring your energy down. If you're on hour 16 at the office and you can't drink another Red Bull, let me just suggest this. So if everybody could put their hand on their abdomen so that you can feel it move in and out, you're gonna take a 3-part breath in. It's gonna be inhale 1/3, inhale 2/3, inhale all the way, and 1 exhale. So everybody with me. And then exhale. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. And what that does, and it brings this really richly oxygenated blood right to your brain, and it wakes you up. It's almost instantaneous, and it's really, really awesome. If you do this for a few minutes, you could be, towards the end of the day on a Friday during crunch doing push-ups on your desk. It's awesome. That's an exaggeration, but what's also cool about this tri-part breath is that it can also be used to chill out and bring your energy down. So say you get a message from your producer and it's just okay, period. And that period makes you like, oh God. Here's how to use your breath to calm a little bit. So you're gonna take a 1-part inhale and then a 3-part exhale. So, and when you do that, you can honestly feel those nice, juicy, good, serotonin and melatonin and oxytocin, all the good chemicals that make you chill out. You can feel them start to just flow. So taking a couple minutes and doing that kind of breath, and it doesn't have to be super loud. People don't need to know you're doing it. It doesn't have to be like Lama's breath. It can just be quiet nose or mouth breathing is perfectly fine for that. Okay, when you're at the office, it's often hard to be present because if you're in crunch, things may just blend together. I mean, how many crunch veterans do we have here? Days blended to weeks, which blend into months, and at this point, I'm from New England, I'm in Boston, it's still snowy. I don't know what month it is. It's just brutal. So take in things that you've never noticed before. This helps the neuroplasticity in your brain. And that means that your brain isn't static, it can change, and it doesn't get stuck. So if, walking by oh, I never noticed that, our environment artist, her desk smells like oranges because she eats clementines every day. Or, oh, I never noticed that poster behind the bathroom door. Just try to take in new details to make it feel fresh, because it's not, right? Take different routes. I can't say enough about this. What scientists say really, really, really helps our brain is make things different. If you're stuck in a routine that you can't change that routine, change little things within the routine. Eat different kinds of breakfasts. Drive a different way to work. Sit somewhere else if you can. Hang out with new people. Make an effort to talk to different people at lunchtime. I personally diffuse a lot of essential oils, and that really changes my mood. Citrus wakes you up. Florals help you chill, and woodsy smells help you focus. So that's something that if you want to talk about me later, you can email me and I can give you specifics, or we can talk about it in the overflow room across the hall. Whatever you do, try to do whatever you can to keep it fresh. So introductory mindfulness. So a lot of people, when they say like, oh, you meditate? I tried, I can't. I try to explain, it's a practice. You know, as a yoga teacher, the first time I did yoga, I couldn't, you know, get on my hands and get into crow. And it's because I try a little bit more every time, and I balance a little bit more every time, and I get a little bit better every time. It's the same with practicing meditation. I don't expect you to be able to hold your attention on one thing for 20 minutes. I don't think I've ever done that in my life on anything. But then again, I have 4 kids. So the first thing that I really found to be helpful is an exercise. You can either call it leaves on a stream or like cars on a highway, whichever is more calming to you. I'll take the leaves. But if you just observe your thoughts, just watch them. You don't even have to clear your mind. You just literally watch your thoughts. And if they get stuck, if you get stuck on like one thing and you can't stop thinking about it, pull it out of the stream, redirect the stream. So I say, if your thoughts are leaves on the stream of consciousness and they get stuck on a branch, you pull the branch out, right? Or if there's cars on the highway and you get a little traffic, pull that car over. So literally, all you need to do to start meditating is take a minute, 60 seconds, and watch your thoughts. Observe them, and if they get stuck, pull it out. That's it. And there's a great app called Headspace that sort of has this watch your thoughts-ness about it. And it's really good, and you can customize the time that you meditate. And you can add a little bit more every day, maybe challenge yourself. It takes 21 days to make a habit and 40 days to make like a lifelong habit. So if you want to try just increments of 30 seconds every day. Just see what works for you. The silent witness. So there's something about observing your own thoughts and sort of perceiving them as not your own that's really, really good for your brain. If you can say that that's my ego, that is my monkey mind, that is my chatter, I am the silent witness, that's who I really am. And it's kind of a Buddhist thing, it's kind of a yogi thing, but it really, really helps you calm down. It helps you realize that that's just the chatter of your brain. That's what your brain does. Your brain makes ridiculous scenarios, and that's okay. Like, that's not you. And the silent witness, there's a lot of reading you can do about it, but it really does help you detach from those little paranoias that everybody has. Correct the puppy. So I explain teaching mindfulness like this. So imagine in your mind a cute little puppy. It can be any kind of puppy. I personally picture a Welsh Corgi. So when you're teaching a puppy how to sit, you put it down and you say, sit. And then it'll look at you, and it'll get up like a second later. You don't go, what an asshole puppy are you? No, you like take the puppy and go, no, 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 honey, and you redirect the puppy, and it'll sit for another second longer, and then when it gets up, you just, no, honey, right there. That's how you train your brain with mindfulness and meditation, in little increments and without judgment. Just correct the puppy, like, no, 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 puppy doesn't know how to sit yet. Let me teach it how to sit. Your brain doesn't know how to sit yet. Teach your brain how to sit. Be like the puppy. How to relax and still be productive. So a lot of people think that like, oh, I can't relax at work, I won't be productive. That's actually not true. When you multitask, you don't do things as well or as thoroughly, and you're going to need so much more iteration. And oddly enough, your relaxation can start first thing. They say the first 17 seconds of your day sets the tone for your entire day. And I read this really great book called The Slight Edge, which implies that every micro decision you make either brings your life in an upswing or a downswing, and eventually it takes off exponentially. Things are either going to get drastically better for you because these little decisions add up, or things are going to go downhill to the point where you're like, oh my God, what's happening? I know how both of those work. So in the first 17 seconds of your day, if you wake up and go, oh, I got a deadline, that's probably gonna start you on the downward spiral of your day. And what mindfulness experts and scientists have found in their research is that gratitude is the #1 thing that makes people happy. So if you can try to wake up and just be thankful for like 1 or 2 things. I am so thankful that there was ice cream in the freezer last night because I totally needed that. Or like, oh, I'm so grateful for my mom for watching the kids later so that I can actually get out of the house. Take a tiny fraction of your day and be thankful for something, and your day will start out on the right foot. It'll be much better. So apps, I've already talked about Headspace, but my favorite meditation app is Ananda, Deepak Chopra's app. There is a small subscription fee, but it's 100% worth it. It's a great, great app. So Ananda, Deepak Chopra comes on and he's got this great relaxing voice. It's amazing. He talks a little bit about like a theme of the day or something to think about, like, oh, your creativity and where it could bring you, just some nice stuff. And then he gives you a mantra, and then in a few minutes, because it's customizable however long you want, he rings a bell and it's over, and that's it. It's very simple. And now a lot of you may be a little bit skeptical about mantras and think that it's too hippy-dippy. Let me tell you, which I love, by the way, I mean, look at me. But let me tell you the science behind why mantras actually work for meditation. So imagine that cute little puppy is right next to you, and it's pawing at you and it wants your attention. That's your monkey mind, that's your ego. It always wants to distract you, right? But imagine you have some treats in your hand, and when you drop a treat to the dog, it quiets for just a little bit, and you get just a moment to relax. And then it starts at you again, and then you drop another little treat. That is what doing mantra meditation does. The mantra, essentially, it's like throwing, juggling balls to your monkey mind and having it juggle while the rest of your brain relaxes. So I use Sanskrit mantras because I do a lot of yoga, and that's the kind that Deepak Chopra does in his app. My favorite mantra is So Hum. It just means I am, and it really helps me sort of center myself. It's really nice. So I inhale So, and exhale hum. Mentally, I'm not even saying it. I could do this at my desk. Again, nobody knows. I used to write for Huffington Post, and I wrote this article called I Meditate at the Grocery Store and Nobody Even Knows, because I have these kids with me 24/7, and I just put them in the cart, give them a banana, and I just meditate. It's glorious. Anyway, those are mantras. They're great, and you should try it. So how to relax on a chemical or cellular level. This is interesting. So in my research, I found a lot about cortisol. And cortisol is what our adrenals fire when we are in trouble. Now, these were originally evolved for when, we encountered a bear. And the cortisol would fire, and we would either punch the bear in the snoot or run away. Now, that same reaction happens when your lead comes up to you and says, can we talk at 3? It still fires as though there's a bear. That's not good for us, especially when we are in crunch and we are working long hours. Our cortisol is firing up like Annie Oakley, just shooting, shooting, shooting. And that causes adrenal fatigue, which is really, 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 it makes you run down. It makes you unhappy, it makes you miserable. It's really, really difficult. And why cortisol is bad for you is it constricts your blood vessels really tight because it's trying to get you ready for a fight, but your heart has to beat pump so much harder to get the blood through because your veins are like this. Cortisol is bad. We want to sort of use it only when we really need it. Cortisol also tells your body, don't digest that food because you're going to be in a big fight with a bear, and that's why you often hang on to extra weight when you're stressed. So a way to fight cortisol is with adaptogens, and these are just herbs or mushrooms. You can find them, they're natural supplements, and they give you a little bit of time between stimulus and response on a chemical level so that you're not just shooting at every little thing that might make you stress. Hell, watch the news and watch what happens to your cortisol. Boom, 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 right? So I take ashwagandha, it's my favorite. I also take cordyceps and reishi mushrooms. Antioxidants are great for another reason, but I want to make sure that I keep this talk tight and get to everything that I can. But basically, the space between stimulus and response is really the key to everything in life. The ability to be able to have that moment to reason and realize that you should not panic or you should not say something hasty or do something hasty, it's amazing. And with adaptogens, that happens to your body on a chemical level, and with meditation, it happens on a mental level. It's like adding memory. Your thoughts have more room to run around, and you have more time to reason things out. All right, how to relax on a physical level. So yoga. I'm not telling everybody out there to get into downward dog with me, okay? There are types of yoga that a lot of people don't know about that are unbelievably helpful for game devs in particular. Restorative yoga looks like a nap sesh. You get on the floor like with a bunch of pillows and blankets, and they put you in these weird positions. But what those positions are designed for is a lymphatic system rinse, a rinse of your sympathetic nervous system, your parasympathetic nervous system, your pineal gland. The poses are meant to sort of stimulate certain certain responses in your body and to get rid of stress. So it's not just, I lied down for an hour with a pillow and it was awesome. It's very strategic. If you can find a yoga studio that does restorative yoga, it's 90 minutes of like a cuddle sesh that's just amazing. Yoga Nidra. Everybody write this one down. This helps you get into a sleep state without being asleep, and you can do this if you can't sleep at night, if you're coming home from the office and you want more quality sleep but physically can't get it because of time constraints, or if you need a 20-minute boost and cannot nap at the office. Yoga Nidra. So let me just explain your brainwaves. So when you're awake, you have alpha waves and beta waves, and they're great. They help keep you awake, and that's how you think when you're awake. But the problem is they create little toxins in your brain that only sleep, which is delta and theta waves, can clean away. It's like a janitorial crew comes in at night and cleans those away. And you have 110 to 90 minute to 110 sleep cycles at night, and that's what it does. It cleans everything out. But if you're not getting enough sleep, you're not getting rid of the toxins. Yoga Nidra, it's like a guided meditation. It actually can put your brain into the theta and delta waves so that you can clear away some of those toxins without getting a full night's sleep. A lot of yogis only sleep 4 hours a night. A lot of the time where my babies were keeping me up at night, I would do some Yoga Nidra, and it would really help reset my body because I physically couldn't get the amount of sleep that my body needed. So I already talked about the depth of sleep. Don't hit snooze. I just found this out like a month ago, and it was completely shocking. So, as I mentioned, you have those 90 to 110 minute sleep cycles, and it takes your body 2 hours naturally to rise out of sleep and to wake you up properly. When you hit snooze, your body instantly resets to a 90 to 110 minute cycle. And say you wake up 10 minutes later, it can take up to 4 hours for your body to get back to the level of energy that you would have had if you just woke up without the snooze. So snooze is super detrimental to your health and your energy. Lastly, I'm going to go pretty quickly through this one because I feel like I may not be people's favorite person anymore. So I love this because JP Sears, if you can't see the picture, he's got a turkey made out of tofu and like celery and a carrot, and it's really funny. But part of the reason why Bill's body and my body was run down is because we were eating horrible things, because in crunch, a lot of the time, you just eat whatever's available. A lot of times, studios will just bring in a bunch of food and you just eat what's there, and it's really, really easy. And Bill and I had so much aches and pains. I actually had chronic back pain. I was at a chiropractor 3 times a week. And what I ended up, after a number of doctor's visits, I realized that my body was just inflamed by all of the things that I was consuming. Now, this is not me saying you need to cut these things to be happy. I'm saying if you can reduce or even eliminate some of these things, your body's going to be more cooperative. When you're in crunch, you are go, 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 and you need your body to keep up. You need your body to be able to sleep when you want, to be able to, bike to work when you want, which is obviously great because it helps get you a little exercise. Your body needs to keep up with your mind. And so these are the things that cause inflammation in your body and your diet, and I'm sorry. Yeah. So meat, dairy, sugar, caffeine, and alcohol. So I actually became vegan, and it completely changed my health entirely. It's not as expensive as people say if you use a lot of things like beans and lentils and rice. And it's actually remarkably delicious if you find the right cookbooks and whatnot. And I'm happy to talk to anybody who's considering it. We can talk across the hall, or you can just email me because I'm really passionate about it. And yes, there is good vegan cheese, but most of it is terrible. So, pocket meditations. So here I'm going to give you a couple of really short meditations that you can just try to remember and do on the go. These are not things that you need to be in a quiet place for. These are things that you can sort of just visualize anywhere. Okay, so I think I'm going to start with sensory meditation is great because you can actually do it while you're eating, and it makes eating more enjoyable. So the way my yoga teacher taught this to us was she gave everybody a small piece of gourmet dark chocolate. It was vegan, and it was really good. So she had us look at it. She had us open the paper and listen to the crinkles. She had us smell the chocolate. She had us use all of our senses. And then by the time we were eating it, we were like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever eaten. But if you can do things and try to incorporate all your senses, that is a form of meditation, and it's actually really great for your mind to engage in all your senses. So go get some chocolate after, right? Even though I just told you don't eat sugar. The guided meditations. Go on YouTube, type in guided meditations. There are so many amazing visual guided meditations, and these are nice if you can close your eyes, but it's just somebody walking you through something mentally, and it's just sort of like a really peaceful little story that can totally help you calm down, de-escalate, pop in your earbuds, and just take 5 minutes and listen to a really beautiful guided visualization. The golden bucket. So this one is really nice when you've got something that's troubling you. So I think we're gonna do it right now because we have a little bit of time. So if everybody, if you'd like to, close your eyes and I'll lead you through it a little bit. So imagine you're at your favorite place on earth. Say it's, the camp you used to go to as a child, or a bench in your backyard, or at your favorite beach. And there's a golden bucket next to you, and it's illuminated from the bottom. And you have this instinct to put all your worries in there. So imagine that your worries are heavy, heavy chains inside your chest or your mind, and you start to just pull them out and drop them into the bucket. So, your cat's been a little sick. Put that worry in the bucket. You have a really, really, really big milestone coming up. Drop it in the bucket. You have had a strained relationship with your mother. Take it out. Put it in the bucket. And just slowly, one by one, imagine giving away all of the things that are burdening you, and start to imagine your body to just feel physically lighter. And after a moment, you feel a hand on your shoulder, and a stranger says, I'll take this now. And somebody just picks up the bucket and walks away with it. Open your eyes. It's the kind of thing that just helps you make you feel a little bit lighter when things are weighing you down. Another really great visualization when you have a little bit of a toxic workplace is the breathe in gold meditation. So a lot of times when you're a crunch, things can get contentious, and people who you really loved before crunch may not be your favorite people during crunch because you see them 24/7 and they're really, really getting on your nerves. And also gossip is a thing. The number one thing I say is be the light, be the person in the office who doesn't gossip, because then it'll have a ripple effect. And I just read this book, Judgment Detox, and it's really, really helpful for that. But this is nice if you have a work environment that's slightly unpleasant. It's a really great guided visualization. So you imagine that you're breathing in this gold liquid and filling your lungs with it, and when you exhale, it's diffusing through the room and calming everybody down. Even if it's not affecting other people, if you can imagine them being calmer and imagine yourself being calmer, it's actually a really, really nice exercise. The rainbow elevator is fun, and I think I do have time to do it. Very cool. So there's sort of a guided meditation that goes through all the colors, and it goes up your spine. I actually think that we probably don't have time, but I do have time for 1 or 2 questions if anybody has them. I should probably go to this page, recommended reading or listening. These are books, so I found that it really helped me to listen to audiobooks, because then it was sort of spare time that was wasted in my day. So these are really, really, really good. The Power of Now is literally about present moment awareness. The universe has your back. It's a little bit on the woo-woo side, but it really, really, really just makes you happy. It's wonderful. The 4 Agreements, I love the advice Don Miguel Ruiz gives in this. One of the agreements is don't take anything personally because it's not about you, chances are. And also, that's kind of the big one. The Slight Edge was the one where your life goes up or down. The Desire Map is amazing because she sort of talks to you about reverse engineering your goals. I want to have 5 ship titles by the time I'm 35. Well, okay, why? Because it'll make me feel accomplished. Well, what else can you do to feel accomplished? And you sort of go backwards. Desire Map, really, really good book. How Not to Die. This is about diet. Fascinating. The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins talks about how you can talk yourself into doing anything by counting backwards from 5. It's fascinating, and she's a Boston girl like me. Love it. And The Way of the Seal is sort of like a cool Zen book by a guy who was a Navy SEAL, and it's about mental toughness, and it's awesome. So, 1 minute left. Do we have a question? Anyone? Hi.
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 So,
Sorry, that was
when I get back from GDC, I'm going to be doing more waking up and working out on time, but I kind of had an idea of having one day to sleep in. Do you think this is conducive, or do you think maybe I should just still get up and maybe be lazy but awake?
So I think those are good things for you in different ways. You need the sleep and you also need the exercise. So I mean, whatever serves your body, try it the way you set up for a week. But if you feel like your body's run down, maybe one more day of the sleep. So yeah, just like pay attention to what your body's telling you. We are remarkably intuitive, but we don't pay attention to it enough. So yeah, listen to your body, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Any more? I think we got time for like one. No? Well, please, please, please stay in touch because I love talking about this stuff. I'm on Twitter. You can email me. There's the timer. And I'll be probably across the way in the little Overlook, totally. Is it the Overlook, like the hotel, really? Or Overwatch or whatever it is, across the way. Either way, it's cool. If anybody has questions or want to chat, please, please, please stay in touch. I don't even care if you email me about vegan cheese or essential oils. Like, it's all good, okay? Please fill out your surveys. I hope you guys took something away from this and enjoy the rest of your GDC and your trip home. Thank you.